Yeah, what's good, boxing fans? It's your boy, Ashy Knuckles. Early this Sunday morning, it's about 9 o'clock down here in the South in Texas, man. Wanted to get this post-fight thoughts video out of the way. Talking about Billy Joe Saunders versus David Lemieux. Um, First of all, I've been seeing that I've been having some trouble with my mic. I don't have a fancy mic. I guess I can invest in one. I don't always do videos. I'm probably the most inconsistent guy in the boxing community. Uh, at one point, I was very consistent, but once I switched careers, man, that's when everything kind of went south for me in terms of making videos. Um, but because I was listening to one of my old video I made yesterday, it was a lot of stuff that got cut out, a lot of stuff that was choppy. So if that happens in this video, forgive me for that. Um, But the fight itself, man, this was a very good fight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not gonna say it was a good fight in terms of back and forth, action packed. This was a good fight to show the skill set of Billy Joe Saunders to the American audience. Even though the fight did not take place in the United States, it was on the HBO, which has a lot of subscribers to that channel. I forget how many, but they dominate in terms of the sport of boxing. The networks that showcase the sport of boxing, I think they have the most subscribers on that network. Um, and it's just interesting to see how they're going to receive him. Honestly, um, it's not because he's a bad fighter. In fact, he's the opposite of that. It's because of his style of fighting. Um, Usually, when you see a guy who boxes on the move, like David Lemieux executed last night, peppering the guy, always keeping the target moving, pivoting out of there, embarrassing him in the ring, taunting him in the ring because every time he tries to load up on a big punch, the target's no longer there. Just interesting to see if the American audience is going to take to Billy Joe Saunders as they should. They should because of his skill set. He doesn't have the rock'em sock'em robot style. Meet you in the center of the ring. I'll hit you. I'll let you hit me, and we just bang out for the fans' entertainment while damaging our bodies, not not knowing what damage is going to be done to us in the long run. That's what the fans want to see, And Billy Joe Saunders just refuses to oblige that, obviously. But at the end of the day, he got a chance to showcase his talent on HBO, um, and look masterful in doing it. What's amazing is that Harold Letterman, you know, showed his scorecard of Billy Joe Saunders blanking David Lemieux, winning all 12 rounds, and Lemieux not winning any rounds, and him saying, "Oh, this is beautiful boxing. Look, if you want to know how boxing is done, watch Billy Joe Saunders." What's amazing is that Erislandy Lara fights in the exact same manner. Boxes on the move, boxes from the southpaw stance, lets his hands go. He's no longer there when you're trying to hit him, right? But when Erislandy Lara is boxing, I don't hear about how this is beautiful boxing. If you want to know how to box beautifully, just watch Erislandy Lara. These double standards are really pissing me off. But at the same time, I've been around long enough, and the double standards have been around long enough. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to allow that to influence my analysis of the boxing game. I think Erislandy Lara fights in a great manner. I think he has great boxing skills. And I'm going to be consistent, and I'm going to say Billy Joe Saunders has the exact same um, skills. He boxes beautifully. And on top of that, if y'all ever listen to me break down a fight in terms of a style clash, southpaw versus conventional, I always break down why the southpaw has the advantages and how he fights in the ring. You can go to any of my videos in any of the time I've ever broke down a style clash in the ring, and then go back and watch David Lemieux versus Billy Joe Saunders. Because what I've always explained, how the southpaw will box behind his southpaw jab and circle to the right. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what Billy Joe Saunders did. He circled to the right the entire night. And what did David Lemieux do? Did David Lemieux, being the conventional fighter, did he circle to his left behind his jab? No. He circled to his right along with Billy Joe Saunders. How did he do that? Was it behind his lead foot? No. He kept he kept going to his right, David Lemieux, he kept going to his right by using his back foot. He kept trying to swing that back foot over to the right in an attempt to square up with Billy Joe Saunders. Why did he do that? Because he thought that's where he would be able to get his shots off. It's actually an attempt to square up with the southpaw fighter, because that's where you think your target's going to be. Why? Because he's not used to fighting at that angle. He don't know how to get his shots off at that angle by going to his own left. So he think if he goes to his right and try to square up a little bit, the shots will be there. But it is a trap. It is a trap. You know what I'm saying? It is a trap. Every time he would move that back foot to his right in an attempt to square up, what did Billy Joe Saunders do? He beat upside his fucking head like a goddamn pinata. What he's supposed to do, because he's walking into the line of fire of a good southpaw. This is textbook boxing, lefty versus righty. You can go to any fight and watch the lefty versus righty and see the exact same mistakes that the conventional fighter makes. And if you're not hitting a guy with the straight right, you know what I'm saying? If you're not hitting him with your straight right, and to keep him off you, you know what I'm saying? Because you got to fight a southpaw the way a southpaw fights you. The only difference is that you're doing it from the conventional, from the orthodox stance. But most people don't recognize the disadvantages that they have versus a lefty, and they end up getting their ass beat. And like I said on a previous video, it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, how difficult it is to find good southpaw sparring. Now, you may be able to find southpaw sparring, but the good southpaws are not sparring partners. So if you're gonna find good southpaw sparring, you're gonna probably get somebody who long in the tooth, who on his way out. You know what I'm saying? Or you're gonna find somebody who was on the way up and has not made it to a certain level yet. But the good southpaws in this game are not sparring partners. You know, I could think back. We got a guy in the 140-pound weight division who's a southpaw. And I don't know if I don't even say that I don't even say that he even fights to his own. He hasn't even reached his own potential yet. But I remember when he was an amateur, he used to fight pros in the South, not fight them, but spar pros in the South. I'm talking about Regis Prograis, who was on the verge of his first world title shot against Victor Postal. I think they're negotiating that fight right now. That's going to be a banger too. But I've been watching Regis since he was an amateur. Regis is a southpaw, and Regis come to do it. He let those hands go. And if you are not prepared to go to war when you in the ring with that boy, don't let the fact that he's a light-skinned cat influence you. Regis come to do it. You know what I'm saying? He comes to let his hands go and make it happen. You know what I'm saying? But he's no longer a sparring partner now, being a professional on the cusp of his first world title shot. So, like I said, good southpaw fighters are hard to find. It's hard to find good southpaw sparring. You can go all over the country. It's hard. They don't just grow on trees like they do overseas. You know what I'm saying? So, as you all know, most people in the world are right-handed. So, anyway, going back to the fight. Hold on, let me see. Boxing talking this thing. What's good, bro? Send me a link. Like to get in your chat. All right. I'm not the most I ain't the best at doing this, but I think if I send you a link, give me your email and I can get you on this thing, bro. Let me see. That's how they usually do me. So let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Damn, how we do this shit? Let's see. Anyway, as I figure this out, I'm gonna keep it moving, keep talking. In terms of the fight, like I said, it was a great performance. Um, Billy Joe Saunders used his boxing skills on the move, behind his jab, circling to the right, befuddling Lemieux, um, and always staying one step ahead. And Lemieux could never find the target. Why? Because not only was on the move, he was not used to fighting and finding his target. He was not used to finding that. He's not accustomed to fighting at those angles. You know what I'm saying? Those angles were what was befuddling him the most. Um, and of course, Lemieux getting in his head with the taunting. His jab was on point. His countering was on point. The straight left was on point. The uppercut and the hook combination was on point. Everything he wanted to execute in the ring was on point. He would stop, stand his ground, and fight when he wanted to. But most of the night, he was just utilizing the entire ring, keeping his feet moving. He has great footwork for a big guy. He looks like a real solid 60-pounder. And at the end of the day, he knew what he was up against. It was obvious that he did respect Lemieux's power. If he didn't, he would have stood there and traded with him. But that's not his MO. He comes to beat on the motherfucker all night long and make it impossible to catch that return fire, which is signature boxing. You know what I'm saying? To hit and not get hit. And he executed beautifully. I think he did what he wanted to do. And he took a solid 160 pounder with good power and beat the brakes of him off of him all night. And what he did was elevated himself to a point where a potential marquee matchup against Billy Joe Saunders could be on the table for any of the top middleweights at that weight. And what is happening at this time is that middleweight is starting to come more alive with all the new fighters that are entering into the division, as well as the guys that are making themselves seen and known at the top of the division, not just your Triple G's and your Canelos. Because right now, when I look at the landscape of middleweight, as far as potential fights being made, you got your Triple G, who's trying to negotiate a rematch with Canelo. I believe if they do fight next, which when you talking a Canelo fight, you're talking a money fight. You know, you're talking a money fight. So at the end of the day, fighting Canelo is the biggest money you're gonna get at 60, which has been proven. You know, him being a pay-per-view attraction, he may not be a pay-per-view attraction to the point Mayweather was, or Oscar was, or Manny Pacquiao was, but at the end of the day, he can have 750,000 people purchase his pay-per-view fights. Back in the game, a guy who can do 350,000 was a pay-per-view attraction. You know what I'm saying? That's just real. So like Eric Morales, you know, or Marco Antonio Barrera, you know, those guys, their pay-per-views would average around that mark. So they can still sell, you know. They are the top earners in the sport. I mean, he is the top earner in the sport at this time, especially with Mayweather retiring and Cotto retiring. Pacquiao would have to be the top guy, but you know he may be on his way out as well. So the only person that leaves left is Canelo. But and if they do fight Triple G versus Canelo in a rematch, it's probably going to be on Cinco de Mayo, which is traditional in boxing. Oh, and I think Mexican Independence Day in September. Any of the Mexican audience, if you watch this in the archive or if you're on live with me, forgive me if I get your holidays mixed up, but I know Cinco de Mayo and it's one of the holidays, the Mexican holidays in September, traditionally are the two biggest days in boxing. And now that all the other pay-per-view guys are gone, I wholeheartedly expect Canelo to resume the tradition and fighting on those two dates. But what else? What else do we got at 60? We got um, Billy Joe Saunders, who's at the forefront. Um, we got Billy Joe Saunders, who's at the forefront, who just knocked off David Lemieux. So now he makes an attractive matchup for anybody else. You got Danny Jacobs that's still there, still making noise. Arguably won the Triple G fight to a lot of folks. Um, he just beat up goddamn, what's that kid name? Louis Cubas. Louis, I can't. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Cuba. He just whooped him. The guy that was with the money team. You got Jamal, the Hitman Charlo, the former IBF 154-pound champion, who's at 60 now, where he belongs with guys around his size. You got Demetrius Boo Boo Andre at 160 pounds. So you got all of these marquee matchups that have manifested itself late 2017 going into 2018 for a lot of attractive matchups at middleweight, and I can't wait to see it. At the end of the day, all the belts outside, I believe, I don't know if they got the WBC, but I know the lineal champion is Canelo still because he hasn't been dethroned yet. But most people look at Triple G as the champion, and I guess you can. He has all the rest of the titles. But that's why they got to fight again, because we got to get one champion. We got to get on one accord with this thing. Billy Joe Saunders still has his WBO title, and that's the message he wanted to send out last night when he beat that ass, is that he's here. He called out Triple G. He says, "Come and get my title now." And I think that's great for the sport, man. I think it's excellent that he didn't get on the mic and be like, "Oh, let's leave it to my manager. I'll leave that to my promoter." No, he's calling guys out. There's a guy in this division that y'all think is hot shit, and I think I could fuck him up. So, let's see what goes down. You know what I'm saying? Let's fight. Let's get it in. And why not call out Triple G, man? Saunders is still relatively in his prime, around 27 years old, 26, something like that. He has longer reach than Triple G, probably about an inch or two. He's a little taller than Triple G. He has faster hands than Triple G. Damn sure don't hit as hard as Triple G, but does he really have to? He didn't hit as hard as David Lemieux, and we saw what happened last night. Now, granted, Triple G is a different animal than a David Lemieux, but at the end of the day, boxing is boxing. Boxing is boxing, man. You're still going to have your style clash. You're going to have your lefty versus righty, and if he can present the angles that would trouble Triple G, we may see another master class. Am I calling that fight right now? No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. I still got to look at stuff. I still got to look at Triple G in his next fight, but he looks like he is on the decline. He don't look like the monster that he has been in the past. At the time where we wanted him to go up in weight and fight your Andre Wards, or to fight the Erislandy Lara, who wanted to come up in weight and fight Triple G, or fight Carl Froch, or any of the other guys that would present a legit challenge while he was still that monster. Because like Blood said, I believe he did it last night, but a lot of guys who talk about boxing, the uploaders, understand that boxing is a young man's game. You got to get it in while you can, because you're not going to always be that fucking monster that you are in the ring while you are a young man. Things slow down. Reflexes start to go. Speed starts to go. You know what I'm saying? So you got to find other things that you do well in the ring to keep yourself at the top level of the sport. Like I said back in the game, when Bernard Hopkins was getting older and older, it was only his ring savvy and intelligence that kept him at the top of the sport, because he was no longer the executioner no more. The last real execution that he did in the ring would probably be Pavlik or Joppy. You know what I'm saying? I think it may have been Pavlik. You know what I'm saying? The real execution, go in there and just beat a motherfucker down, So when he wasn't able to go in there and use his, not just his intelligence, but his physical attributes, maul a guy, take him to the corner, beat him to the body, hit him below the hip when the referee not seeing it, using his shoulder, as a weapon when they are in the clinch. When Bernard Hopkins wasn't able to do that anymore against guys that were his size, what did he use? He wasn't as fast as he used to be, never really been a big puncher. So he had to use his ring savvy and intelligence to outfox everybody. It wasn't the most crowd pleasing thing to do, but at the end of the day, he was getting a W. Will Triple G able to do that as he continues to age, being 35 years old? We'll see. Right now, he's still depending on his intelligence and his power, of course, and his timing that he has on his big shots. But how will that timing match up with Father Time? So we'll be able to see what happens in the future. Boxing talk. Okay, let me get this thing set up for you, bro. Let's see. Let's see. Get boxing talk on this thing. Talk some boxing. You know what I'm talking about? gmail.com. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Hold on, fellas. Let me try to get this guy in here. I ain't the best at this shit, but hold on. 1 second. Settings. Invite people. Oh, okay. Here we go. Come on, man. All right, let's see. All right, bro. I think you on this. I think you'll be able to come on this thing. But yeah, like I was saying, man, beautiful performance, man. He went in there, he did what he wanted to do. He obviously did his homework. He saw Lemieux was a flat-footed fighter, a guy who wasn't rhythmic in the ring at all, a guy who didn't have the foot speed to keep up with him, a guy that he can present a lot of trouble for by utilizing different angles and pivots and stuff like that while getting his shots off, a guy who he can time the speed of his punches and counter him effectively, and basically beat his fucking ass the whole goddamn round. I mean the whole damn fight, and you can see the audience getting mad. They're pissed off. They came out. Canadians usually support their fighters. There's some great boxing fans out there that they'll spend their money, they'll support, but they were booing, and I don't think they were booing because Billy Joe Saunders was making it a boring fight. I think they were booing because their guy was getting the brakes beat off of him. And when they want to see the guy stand and fight with Lemieux. Why? Because that is a fight that favors Lemieux. But an intelligent fighter is not going to give him, is not going to oblige the way that he fights and fights on the other guy's terms, because a smart fighter is going to do what he got to do to win, and that's exactly what Billy Joe Saunders did in the fight last night. Great performance for the WBO champion, and shit, we'll just see what goes down at 160 pounds, man. Because right now, anybody at 160 is gonna have their work cut out when they get in the ring with that boy. I mean, he's not just a guy who boxes. He's a big guy. You know what I'm saying? When you see the weigh-in and you see how he look, uh, and compare him the way he looks on fight night, man, this guy must be putting back a lot of weight, because he almost looked kind of chubby in there on fight night. You know what I'm saying? But you can tell he's in shape, because to be able to move like that for 12 rounds while throwing punches, you got to be in some type of shape. You got to be in some type of shape. Now, how do you beat a guy like Billy Joe Saunders? Well, if you can't fight on the move like he can, one thing you're gonna have to do is take those wheels away from him, man. You gonna have to go to the body real hard, make him gas. You know what I'm saying? If he's in good shape, you have to make it difficult for him to move around for 12 rounds like that. And one way you make that happen is to dig. So at those times where you are cutting the ring off, um, instead of looking for shots to the head, make it to the body, man. Send it to the windpipe. Hit him in the thighs if you can, on the referee blind side if you can. Take those wheels away and make him get into a predicament where he got to stand there and bang out with you. That's one way. Another way is what I hinted on earlier, man. You're gonna have to fight the southpaw the way the southpaw is fighting you. That means if you're the conventional fighter, if you're the orthodox fighter, you're gonna have to circle to your left, no matter how uncomfortable it seems, because as the orthodox fighter, your targets are not going to be on your right side. It looks like your target is going to be there. That's why you always see a guy who's conventional against a southpaw circle to his own right by swinging his back foot to the right, stepping with his opponent to the right, to the right, to the right. And every time he do that, he's walking to the line of fire. That's why Billy Joe Saunders had no problem finding that head. He banged on Lemieux's head like a goddamn pinata all damn night, and it was a thing of beauty, man. I thought he boxed excellently, man. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about the way Billy Joe Saunders performed. So, what you guys think? Boxing Talk. I sent you the link. Let me see. Let's try one more time. Let's see what you think about it, man. Okay, that should be it. I don't know what else I got to do outside of him sending the link. I guess, when you get it, you'll just pop up on this thing. Let's see. Yeah, man. But at the end of the day, uh, if Canelo is successful against Triple G, I wonder if he'll take that fight. I mean, he took the fight against Erislandy Lara in a fight that his own promoter told him, "Hey, don't fight this guy." But Canelo is a real fighter, and back in the game, I had my criticisms towards Cinnamon, towards Canelo. You know what I'm saying? Back when I used to do the radio show with Chris Carlson and Joe Abib and D Style, I had my criticisms toward him because at that time, years ago, they were babying Canelo. But Canelo really proved himself to me. Not that he had to prove anything to me per se, but he proved himself to me by going after guys he didn't have to fight. He did not have to fight Austin Trout, who was a difficult opponent at that time, as Miguel Cotto saw. He did not have to go after Erislandy Lara, two southpaws who present style clashes for anybody at 154 pounds. You know, he went on and fought Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? He fought top-notch guys. There are a lot of other guys he could have fought, but you can't fight everybody. That's one thing I had to learn in this game years ago. But he proved himself. I mean, Canelo got hands. He's something awful with them hands, man. Red can fight. I know a lot of people got their own issues with Canelo, but they ain't got nothing to do with you with the kid. So with me, they ain't got nothing to do with me. I got my own opinions on him. I think Canelo can scrap, and I think he gonna provide an even sturdier matchup in the rematch. We'll just have to see what goes down on that. Let me look at some of these comments. Big Brian in this bitch, and he said David Lemieux is a bum. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you got your own opinion on that. I mean, he obviously don't have the skills that Billy Joe Saunders got, but he's a big middleweight. He packs a good punch. If you can't beat Lemieux, you're nobody at this weight. So I won't call him a gatekeeper, but he may be a step or two above a gatekeeper. Especially at this point, his ambitions of becoming a legit world champion at this weight are probably, you know, just a pipe dream at this point. He may want to consider going up in weight. Um, Lemieux was almost. Who this is? I can't say your name, brother. It's Gyanesen Narayanan. Forgive me if I said that wrong. Lemieux was almost killed by Rubio. That was exactly what I was saying yesterday. Um, at that point, Lemieux was being hyped like nobody's business. Years ago, Lemieux was just walking through everything at 160 pounds until he ran up on Rubio. They thought Rubio would be a good name to have under Lemieux's record, and they basically underestimated Rubio's skills. I mean, there was a time when Rubio was making some noise at 54 until he got derailed by Kofi Jantua. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Lemieux got in there with Rubio, and Rubio beat his fucking ass, and that was the end of the hype train from David Lemieux. So good comment on that. No, never underestimate the power of good matchmaking skills. Obviously, that was not on display last night because if Lemieux's handlers knew better, they would have never put him in the ring with somebody who can box like this, especially a classy boxer who boxes from the southpaw stance. You don't see a lot of guys who can box like that on the move, on their toes, behind the jab, like Billy Joe Saunders. Yeah, you can think of some that do it and do it well, but you don't see a plethora of them in the fight game. So maybe his matchmaker of the promotional company Fight For, I think it's Golden Boy. Who was that? That's Eric Gomez who does the matchmaking for them. Yeah, he just really blew the lid on this one, man. He put him in the ring with somebody who beat his fucking ass. After the Golovkin loss, De La Hoya had Lemieux face complete washed up fires to rebuild his career. Most people would do the same thing, man. That's pretty parallel with all the big promotional companies. You got to rebuild guys. You got to put them in the ring with guys who they should be able to handle in an effort to rebuild their confidence before you put them back in the ring with somebody who's solid. They did that with Lemieux. And at the end of the day, they thought Lemieux would have rebuilt his confidence to a point where he should be able to, acquire a world title before they put him back in there with the upper echelon, which would be Triple G and Canelo or Danny Jacobs. So they put him in the ring with guys like Glenn Tapia, which was a confidence builder. They put him in the ring with Curtis Stevens, who also fought Triple G, probably stood in the ring longest with Triple G outside Canelo and Danny Jacobs before he got stopped. And I forget the other guy, somebody Reyes, Michael Reyes or something like that. I think it was 3 guys that they put him in the ring with. He stopped them. So yeah, they were trying to rebuild him to get him back at the top of the 160-pound weight division, and that got derailed last night by a guy who just had better boxing skills than him. So we'll see what happens with that. Boxing Talk says GGG won the Canelo fight, in my opinion. A lot of people thought that. A lot of people like activity in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't like he was just beating the shit out of Canelo. He was definitely let his hands go. He was definitely the aggressor. He was definitely coming forward. But I didn't see this dominating performance. The guys Triple G hit, the impact of his shots does damage to guys. He busting them up or putting them down, and none of those things took place against Canelo for those who says he was beating Canelo's ass. Now, he probably still arguably won the fight because he was more busier, and he probably deserved a points victory, but the cleaner shots were landed by Canelo. The cleaner counters were landed by Canelo, and Canelo made Triple G miss a lot of shots. So it just really, that's why they have 3 sets of eyes judge this thing. You know what I'm saying? It really depends on what you like as a guy who scores fights, but I'm not going to argue with you if you thought Triple G won. He says if Triple G doesn't cut off the ring, it's going to be a problem. Goddamn right. because if you can't find the angle that he's presenting in the ring, you're gonna have trouble. Point blank. Period. Um, could be Beats in this thing. What's going on, Beats? He said could be the right time for Billy against Triple G, Jacobs, Canelo, Charlo matchup would be good though. I literally just made that point a couple of minutes ago. With him winning last night, he presents a much more he presents more options for the upper echelon at the weight. He's already been at the top of the 60-pound weight division, but at this point, at this juncture, by beating this guy on HBO in a rout, with him blanking Lemieux, he basically he put the division on notice as a world champion too. He put the division on notice. I'm somebody to deal with. I'm a potential marquee matchup for anybody at the top of the weight division. And get in the ring, you're gonna have trouble. That's basically what I got from the execution that took place last night. Yeah, he gonna be trouble for anybody, even my guy. Young Ma. You know. So we'll see how that go down. It said Boxing Talk says, "Do you have Google Hangout?" Hell, I thought I was on it. I sent it. I sent the link. It says, "Oh, my fishing, you're tripping." It says, "Share the permanent link. Bookmark. Come back anytime. Send invite as Ashy Knuckles. Add names or email addresses." I thought that's what I did. I put your email right there, and I guess it. I don't know. I guess it just didn't send it, man. Let's see if I can find another way. Hold on. Let's see. There's got to be another way to do this. All right, check this out. See, Boxing Talk 8576, right? At gmail.com. Here's the link. Y'all bear with me. I'm trying to do this damn thing. Hangouts.google.com. All right, I think this will do it, bro. Hangouts, MP5, 0, Q, JV, 23, PZ, DVN, 3X60. All right. Now, if it don't work now, bro, I guess I just ain't got the shit. You know what I'm saying? So I sent it in two different ways to you. So you definitely should receive it now. So, who do y'all think would be a great matchup, man, for Billy Joe Saunders next, man? Young Maul been waiting for for a fight at 60. The guy that who they put him in the ring with, in his debut fight at middleweight. he shouldn't have been in the ring with Ma. I mean, he was a pretty good contender, but it looked like he injured his leg in the ring early. And you want to have all systems going when you in the ring with that dude, man. Because I done seen Jamal just you got to understand, man. The twins, man. I've been around the twins since they had dreads and they were welterweights. You know, it was two skinny dreadhead welterweight twins, broke, being interviewed by a broke cameraman years and years and years ago. Now both guys are at the top of their game in their respective divisions. Um, and straight beasts. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be tough to deal with for anybody. So, I like to see Saunders in there with Jamal. I think that would be a very good fight. I think Saunders will present some trouble probably in the fight for Jamal, as well as vice versa. But I do know that Jamal has sparred against good southpaws in the past. I mean, ever since he was 7-0, he was sparring with Erislandy Lara. You know what I'm saying? And he's fought against Austin Trout. I really don't know if he sparred against who else he sparred against. Well, of course he sparred against Regis, but Regis is a small guy. Um, he sparred against a lot of good southpaws, so it'd just be interesting to see if he can deal with the angles that Billy Joe Saunders can present in that potential matchup. I mean, I like to see it. And if Billy Joe Saunders would be able to beat Jamal, that would be a good name to have on his ledger as he continues to pursue the big money guys at the weight, which would be Triple G, him being an HBO fighter, and Canelo, him being a pay-per-view fighter. So and vice versa, if Jamal is able to knock out or to effectively and thoroughly outbox Billy Joe Saunders, he would present himself the matchup for the top guys at 60. He been wanting to fight Canelo. He was calling out Canelo at 5-0. I got footage of that. You know what I'm saying? But he was nobody at that time. But now he's somebody, being a former world champion. It's not like he got beat for his title. So he is a championship caliber fighter at the weight that these guys are currently campaigning. So why not fight a Jamal Charlo? You know what I'm saying? And the same thing goes for Triple G. So we'll just have to see what happens on that note. Boxing Talk, I sent that link to you, bro. I sent it in 2 different ways. Maybe I just don't have Hangouts. I don't know. I mean, it says Hangouts, and that's the link right there. Boxing Talk 857 at gmail.com. There's the link. I don't know. I don't know why they ain't going through. Maybe it's something I'm doing wrong. I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, man. Shit, that's all I got, man. I really didn't have much to say about say about the fight that took place last night. I kind of went over all the matchups that I could think about at 160 pounds. I don't know who else may be going up in weight to 160 pounds. I think Julian Williams is going to stay at 54. I mean, he probably is tall enough to fill out at the weight at 60, after one or two fights against contenders at that weight. But I think he still has ambitions of winning the world title at 54. In fact, I think he's of the top 5 in one of the sanctioning organizations. So in terms of other guys that were below middleweight that could be going up in weight, I don't see it at this point, But at the end of the day, man, that is going to be probably the next hot division in boxing, especially in 2018. So, it just remains to be seen how the middleweight division pans out going forward. So, but man, that's all I got. I still haven't figured out how to do the hangouts all the way. As far as I know, I do this because I don't have to upload. I may never do an upload ever again, man. It's streamed from here on out. So I got to learn how to do this shit for it to work perfectly to be able to invite other cats on. Because as of right now, something I'm not doing right. But that's all I got for you guys, man. Let's chop it up a little later on some other shit, like the boxing awards. We got a award who's the coach of the year, who what was the KO of the year, stuff like that. So that'll be the next stream. I think we'll make that one real big and compare each fight, as we see, who is the top of each one of these different categories. So I'm gonna holler at you guys, man. I appreciate y'all coming out to check out my shit. Thumb the video up if you can. If you don't like it, thumb that bitch down. Leave a comment. It's your boy Ash, man. Until next time.